The Dogs, in association with the Greyhound Board of Great Britain. Well, hello and welcome to The Dogs. It's the culmination of the UK Festival of Racing, sponsored by William Hill. We've got action from a dramatic finals night coming up later in the programme.
Also on this week's show, we're off to the Northumbrian coast to visit the HQ of the syndicate owners of Centaur Greyhounds. Action from Crayford as we review the heats of the ROSEBOWL. Plus, we visit the Ashford kennels of the husband and wife team of Liz and Rab McNair. But first we look back at the third running of the William Hill Festival from Sunderland and the two big races. Lenson Joker was back defending his Grand Prix crown and went to traps the even money favourite after a magical display in the semi-finals. The second favourite, Crown Rover, had to play second fiddle to the Joker in the semis, whilst Bubbly Totty, who'd had two rough rides in the heats and semis, was next at 4-1. There they go, and Lenson Joker out reasonably well, but seems to stumble on one. Crown Rover goes on. Crown Rover's going to lead up early here. Lenson Joker off in chase in second. After these comes Words on a Tune on the inside there of Lizzie Casey Punch. Bubbly Totty improving as they head into the third bend, and it's Crown Rover a length and a half clear still from Lenson Joker in second, Bubbly Totty in third. Then after these comes Words on a Tune as they head down the far side for the final time, and Crown Rover still there for Jimmy Wright and leading here. Lenson Joker's trying his heart out, but he's not making any impression. Bubbly Totty and Words on a Tune are next, and they come around the final bend, and it's Crown Rover that's made all. Crown Rover's going to win by a length and a half, picks up the William Hill Grand Prix. Crown Rover. No fairy tale for Lenson Joker, who for a brief moment was in front, but after a slight touch from Words on a Tune, Crown Rover's electric pace took him to the fore, and there he stayed. It's been a marvellous start to the training career of Jimmy Wright, with Hurley's Hero in the Cock of the North and now Crown Rover winning the Grand Prix. Well, I'm glad to say the wet weather didn't deter the crowds from flocking to Sunderland for a wonderful night's racing. Onto the £40,000 Classic. Gimcrack winner, Droopy's Bogart, was made the 5-4 favourite for the MCNAIRs. He was one of two pups in the field, the other being Blood of Kings, who was the second favourite at 5-2. Mark Wallace's Juggerdusk Ace was 5-1, third in for the older generation. And there they go, running up towards the first bend. Good start, Compass Mikey, pace up, Juggerdusk Ace, and Mario Gomez on the outside, trying to bore in. Oh, there's trouble and bumping there. Bad trouble for Compass Mikey and Droopy's Bogart as they head down the far side. More bumping, Juggerdusk Ace leads here. Mario Gomez on the outside is trying to take it on as they come around the second last bend. On the inside is Blood of Kings, but it's Juggerdusk Ace that's now quicken on for Mark Wallace. Juggerdusk Ace has gone 2.5 lengths clear and will win the William Hill Classic for 2009. As soon as the traps opened, Irish Raider Compass Mikey and two went in search for the inside rail, giving Juggerdusk Ace plenty of room to stretch out. Mario Gomez in sixth for Charlie Lister was also heading inwards, squeezing up Droopy's Bogart and Ping the Lids. Compass Mikey and Droopy's Bogart suffered the most, but Juggerdusk Ace battled on well to land the Classic. Mark Wallace, who's now bagged the two richest races in the sport on these shores, well, he won't be resting on his laurels.
The popularity of syndicates owning greyhounds has been underlined by the success of the Champagne Club, which has attracted a huge number of people to the sport. The Centaur partnership runs along similar lines, but with smaller groups of owners involved, such as those behind the Scurry winner Centaur All-Star. A few miles up the coast from Sunderland is Sea Houses, with its expanse of beach perfect for exercising those greyhounds who raced under the Centaur banner. The Centaur Group's involvement in greyhound racing began some 7 years ago from their base in this seaside town. This is the day job of Keith Sobey, MD of the company, running a sports wrist fund and bloodstock operation. Needless to say, horses and dogs are a passion for Keith, but how did the greyhound operation begin?
In 2002, Centaur had expanded from a very small beginning. We had a number of race horses, and we decided it would be a good idea if we could extend our bloodstock venture to greyhound racing. And I'd like to give a public thank you to Gary Wiltshire here. I asked Gary if he could get me some greyhounds, and by putting me in contact with a gentleman in Ireland, he got me 4 greyhounds for the princely sum of £17,000, I think it was, and one of those was Centaur Corker, who in his generation was certainly the leading staying greyhound.
Centaur Corker's 2003 Ladbrokes Golden Jacket victory put Centaur's greyhound operation on the map. He was a true star of the open race scene and multiple track record breaker. It was a fantastic start for Keith and the dog's owners, but when Centaur Corker's career was cut short through injury, Keith's master plan was to ask North East breeder Jimmy Fennick to stand the dog at stud, although that wasn't going to be easy.
You know, being a marathon dog would be hard to get bitches for him, but I spoke to Keith again, and Keith was wanting to stand the dog at stud, and I said I would accept. I've had stud dogs in the past and done quite well with them, so I would give Centaur Corker a go.
One of Corker's first pups was Genesis Alex, who rose through the ranks to open race marathon winner for Mark Wallace, including this victory at Peterborough.
There was a lot of quality in them pups, you know. I think I can remember reading a report in the Irish Sporting Press from how many pups he had actually produced to litters. I think from open race wins he was at 33%, which put him in a stud dog table of number 10 of all the dogs in Ireland and England. What a feat that was, you know. You know, from only having maybe, I think in all told, you had roughly about 40 matings, so what a feat that was like for a stud dog.
Back on the beach at Sea Houses, and a couple of retired Centaur dogs are enjoying a stroll, and the partnership is proud of its record with ex-racers.
Well, what we do is we've rehomed every dog that we've had, really, even if they've been injured, or even when puppies don't make it to the track, we make sure that they all get rehomed, everyone.
Have you been tempted to have a retired greyhound of your own at home?
We have, very much so. At the moment we've got Centaur Corker. He was the best dog we've ever had, really, and he's been with us since December last year, and everyone in Sea Houses knows him and everyone loves him, really.
Well, he's looking resplendent in his jacket today, from the golden jacket, but he's not that well on one of his paws anyway.
No, he's not. I think he must have stood on something, so he's bruised his pad. So we've had him to the vets this morning, and they've given him some Metacom, so hopefully that'll ease him up. So he's just got to have bed rest.
Mind you, I hear he's still serving a few bitches, and he gets to walk on the lovely Sea Houses beaches, so it's not exactly a bad retirement, is it?
No, it's not. But it's well deserved. I mean, he's did a lot for the company when he was running, and he's just a super dog.
We felt indebted to the sport, and not only that, obviously we had huge enjoyment from having Centaur Corker, so we decided to invest heavily in the sport, to provide entertainment for our clients, to provide a form of syndicate ownership which made greyhound racing more affordable to a lot of people who were clients at the time. And so we turned to Jimmy Fennick for some advice, and we ended up buying 4 bitches and starting a breeding program ourselves using Centaur Corker and some external sires.
Centaur's breeding and purchasing program achieved great success. Centaur Para won the Champion Stakes at Romford in 2004, Centaur Striker the 2006 National Sprint at Nottingham, while Centaur Trooper here proved a real money spinner, winning this 5k Monmore competition. But possibly the group's finest hour, or rather its most memorable 29 seconds, was seeing Centaur Decree lift the 2008 Arc at Walthamstow.
They come round the final bend, and Centaur Decree has gone about 6 lengths clear. Centaur Decree has won in emphatic style.
It'll live long in my memory. Fantastic celebrations at the track with Scott Fraser, who was my partner at the time in Centaur Greyhounds, and the other partners, Ian Craig and Michael Gill. We had a fantastic night, and I think around Britain there were many champagne corks popping as a result of my clients having been advised to back the dog at 50 to 1.
Well, most recent Centaur greyhound to make the headlines is All Star.
Again, a subject of very heavy. I'm making this sound as if it's a gambling venture, but it certainly isn't. I think you've seen enough of Centaur Clive over the last over the day to know that we get involved with the greyhounds from the very beginning, the planning for breeding, through the breeding process from when they're pups to when they retire, and we make sure they're all homed. But on occasions where the market permits, we will support the dog. And the way I look at it, as well as myself as an owner and perhaps 1 or 2 shareholders, I've got 700 clients who are interested in the greyhounds. So where we can and where we feel the dog has an outstanding chance, which is what CENTAUR All-Star had in the final of the Scurry at Bellevue, we recommend it to clients.
Do you really think the syndicate way of ownership is the way forward?
They seem to have a lot of success. You know, there's a lot of models out there in the greyhound game which do have a lot of success. You know, but it's nice if you can have a group of people who can team together and buy a dog or breed a dog and win a major Group 1 final. You know, it's a fantastic, or even a race. There's still the buzz is there for the people who haven't had an involvement. The pinnacle really for a lot of people is trying to get a winner on Sky. You know, if they can get a winner on Sky, it's like they can go home and the friends know them, they've been there, and it's a very, very good buzz.
We often say you never forget your first winner. Will you never forget your first greyhound, Centaur Corker? Will he always be the pinnacle of your achievements?
Well, he lives with me now, so he's a constant reminder, and a very happy one of, you know, how very, very lucky and how much indebted to greyhound racing we are.
You're a lucky owner?
In greyhounds. Well, and in horses, yes. But the horses, I would say, is down to our skill. In greyhound racing, it's the skill of others who've got us where we are.
Coming up after the break, we're off to the kennels of Liz and Rab McNair in Kent. Well, welcome back to the dogs. Off to Crayford now for the Tony Morrison John Humphreys Crayford Rosebowl heats over 380 metres. Mark Wallace had 3 runners in the first heat, where his Kinda Handy went to traps as the 2-to-1 favourite, having beaten I Went Whoosh recently. Here comes the hare. And there they go, racing up towards the first bend. Kinda Handy out fast. Moving up nicely on the inside of it, though, is Pinewood Evo, and that's going to get round. Slight touch for Kinda Handy. I Went Whoosh is close up, as well as the head down the far side. Pinewood Evo, she leads here by a length and a half over 4. Kinda Handy on the outside. I Went Whoosh, then comes Risky Fabo. They come around the final turn, and it's Pinewood Evo that's going to win here by perhaps a length. Pinewood Evo wins, just in second, Kinda Handy. A 1-2 for Mark Wallace, but perhaps not in the right order. Pinewood Evo recording 23.59, winning by a length and a quarter. In Heat 2, Matt Dartnell's Toby's Back, a recent winner at the track, was made the 7-4 favourite, just ahead of Classy Deposit, who was next best at 9-4. There they go, running up towards the first bend. Out very fast there for Ronnie Zoom. The favourite's in trouble at the back after a slow start. Moving up Journey Light on the outside. So up at the moment it's for Ronnie Zoom. Journey Light in chase. After these comes one on the inside. That's Classy Deposit. Journey Light takes over and goes on now by 2 lengths over. Racing in second is Ronnie Zoom. Then comes Seldom Right staying on late, but it's going to be success to Journey Light beats Seldom Right. What a good run then from local hope Journey Light, who recorded 23.29 for trainer Steve Gammon. In Heat 3, Ardbeg Kate, who had beaten Pinewood Evo by 8 lengths on her last start of the track, was the even money favourite. Local hope Aussie Impact was next at 7-2. Away they go, running up towards the first bend. Great start for the favourite. Ardbeg Kate leads up early. Clash Uptown Boy is off in chase in second, but runs wide at the second bend. There's further trouble in behind as they head down the far side. And Ardbeg Kate, she's got her skates on tonight. She's cleared away here. In second is Clash Uptown Boy. After these binger as they come around the final bend, it's easy for Ardbeg Kate. Most impressive. Mike Fawcett's Ardbeg Kate recording the fastest time of the night, 23.03, and no surprise to see her as the 4-6 favourite for the Rose Bowl final. She did move right out of the traps in the heats, and if there was to be a coming together on the inside, perhaps Journey Light could exploit the situation. The final takes place on Friday at Crayford. Droopy's Bogart, electric pace, still out in front, he's out very wide, but it's Droopy's Bogart who has trounced him to win the Sky Bet Gimcrack final here at Hall Green.
Droopy's Bogart's impressive victory in the Sky Bet Gimcrack at Hall Green last month landed a long overdue Category 1 success for husband and wife team Liz and Rab McNair. The Scottish couple upped sticks some 5 years ago for pastures new, becoming effectively private trainers for Brendan Keogh. Brendan owns a kennel complex, land and facilities just outside Ashford in Kent, where Rab and Liz look after and train a select team of open racers for Brendan and Simon Sennick. The kennel boasts a 400-yard gallop and all the other associated facilities, plus the wide open spaces, to help the continued success of the operation. But it's been a long road to get here, as Rab explains.
I started in the flaps up in Scotland. My dad was always in the flaps. He was the old Gosson track, Kilmarnock, Irvine Stadium, all the tracks. I just followed him about and got to know it inside out, and I suppose it got in my veins. I suppose it's like a drug. Once you're into it, you can't get out of it.
The first time I was at greyhound racing was just before we got married. It's just a flapping track, and by all means, I didn't know it after it, but if the dog hadn't won, we wouldn't have got married because all the money was on, and that's how I got into it. So it was just a case of after that, after I got married, if I didn't go to the dogs, I didn't get out, so I started going to dogs, and that's how I got into it.
Ah, well, sure enough, he won. So we got married, we had a nice wedding, and everything's been, well, as I say, it's been history since December. 30 years on, and well, we're stronger than ever, and just keep going, and we're still into the dogs. So it wasn't a bad thing, was it?
So 30 years of experience, and you're now really enjoying the best times of your training lives.
Yes, this is the good times. All the hard times was before, but now it's not as much pressure on us. We had to win at one time, but now it's just more or less for fun we're doing it.
30 years in greyhound racing brings with it a tried and tested formula. It helped the MCNAIR strike with Full Cigar in the 2002 Laurels at Bellevue, and while last Thursday's defeat for Droopy's Bogard at Sunderland was a huge disappointment, his Gimcrack win plus the successes of dogs such as Full Cigar, Crock of Gold and Coolry Fast Trap underline their skill. And a place in the Derby final 2007 for Coolry Fast Trap is cherished and fondly remembered by Liz, well, almost.
I can't remember much. It was in a real big high. Enjoyed the Derby lunch. It was really great. Just being involved was great, and like the old dog. Well, we knew the way he was at the boxes, something would have to happen for him to win it, but it didn't matter. We were there. It didn't really even think about winning. It was just we were there, and that's it.
And he was a dog that wasn't really even bought with a Derby in mind, was he?
No, not really. He was bought and we thought, oh, he's maybe not going to make it, and we were going to put him hurdling. And Barry O'Sullivan had no room for him, so we took him to Rye House and then won the Rye House Derby, and everything went for there.
Fantastic old dog. By God, he was a fantastic, what a character. Loved him, he loved me, he loved Liz. It's the same thing as I go back to Clive. We've got 10 racers there, but I know every one of them inside out. They know me inside out, they know what they're expecting, they know what I expect them to do, and we have a bit of fun time, but we also have a serious time with the racing.
Some might say that it's all very well, you're effectively a kept man here. You've got an owner that will pay hundreds of thousands of pounds for his dogs, and you just have to put a lead on the good one.
No, that's not true, that's not true. Coolry Fast Trap was only £6,000, Cabra Boss was £6,500. I mean, let's face it, there's boys out there paying £60,000. So that's, I don't care what they all say, it's a lot of that not true. I mean, you see, we're doing a big breeding project. Brendan's no a fiat man to put his hand in his pocket, but let's not be kidded. We're not chasing the $100,000 dogs and all the rest of it. But that's not our style. Let's buy some nice young dogs and let's produce them. I think that's more the way we go about it.
The MCNAIRs aspire to and hugely respect the achievements of the Derby King Charlie Lister, who came from similar flapping roots. And their breeding programme could see them now try and emulate the success of another legend of the sport, Nick Savva, the king of the British breeders.
If I've got to that position in our lives that Nicky Savva was in, that he was actually breeding his own pups to come through and win derbies, I would feel as if I've accomplished as much as I possibly could. I think that would be the time. I'm not going to say to hang up the lead or whatever, because I don't think you ever get to that stage. Look at Nicky, he doesn't need it, but he's there. Look at Charlie, he doesn't need it, but he's there. Why? Because what else do you do?
Now, Liz, your name's on the licence, but it's obviously very much a partnership here between you and Rab. How would you say, is it equally split, the duties?
They're supposed to be, yes. I think, yes, we do work together well. I mean, we do everything. Like, he knows what I'm doing and I know what he's doing, and we just seem to work that way as a team.
So we now know they really do work as a team. Liz cooks a typical Scottish breakfast after a morning's toil in the kennels, and Rab, well, he waits for it. But let's see if they think the same way also.
Full Cigar winning the laurels. Full Cigar winning the laurels, because that was the first big one. I actually nearly fainted when he did do it. I thought I was having a heart attack when he went over the line, but that was my proudest moment.
English Derby, final, Calder Fast Trap. I've got to say that, although I didn't win it, but I've also got to say Full Cigar when he won the English Laurels and still a pup. Fantastic night. I thought I was going to faint.
My worst night at the Dogs was probably Thursday night. That was my worst night at the Dogs.
Although Sunderland on Thursday night was pretty bad, David Hood, you got a few quid. It's only a Lenny.
What's all right? I mean, I'm quite a passive person. I've got to be. I don't get a word in edgeways, but it works all right. I would say we're just used to one another.
Wouldn't work with anybody else. I know sometimes it can be difficult working with wives, but I'm as well arguing with her at times as arguing with strangers, so we know where we each now stand. I know she's the boss. Don't worry about that.
Loud. Likes to get his own way. A typical man.
So in a couple of words, describe yourself.
Happy? Very happy.
And Liz?
More than happy. I mean, just think about it. We're married 30 years. She's been on honeymoon ever since.
Well, on to the open race calendar. Friday, Crayford staged the Tony Morris and John Humphreys Rose Bowl final, while the William Hill Steel City Cup gets underway at Sheffield and will be live in the betting shops. The feature on Saturday is the 63rd running of the 2-year-old Produce Stakes at Swindon. Coventry again have Sunday evening to themselves, whilst Nottingham and Romford stage opens on Monday night. For all the details on your local track, click on to our website, thedogs.co.uk. Next Tuesday, we're broadcasting live from Hove for the final of the Coral Sussex Cup. Don't miss it.
The Dogs, in association with the Greyhound Board of Great Britain.